Let's go over Star Wars The Last Jedi when it comes to Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple and his students. This is Mike Zero here once again. If you guys are new here to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one of my favorite aspects of this film is when we get to dig deep into the flashback sequences in which we do get glimpses of both Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker's past during their time on the unnamed planet and location of the training temple, in which Jedi Master Luke actually was training a dozen students, including his nephew Ben Solo. Now, the time in which Luke, of course, digs deep into the mind of his nephew and sees the tragedy that is to come in the near future, the destruction of his Jedi temple and the killing of his students. So we actually see this happen before our very own eyes, eventually in the movie with one of the flashback sequences. You guys may have not noticed this in the trailer or maybe even in the final cut of the movie. However, on the Blu-ray edition of The Last Jedi, it shows Luke Skywalker's dead Padawans in detail all over the field in front of the Jedi Temple itself. As you can see, if we really do take a closer look here, you can see a ton of Jedi Padawans all over the ground, dead, killed by Kylo Ren himself, while the others were taken away, presumably becoming the Knights of Ren eventually, as we saw in The Force Awakens. Now, some of you guys out there may be saying they could be rocks. Well, let's take a look at the initial shot of the wide shot of the Jedi Temple. As you can see here, there are no rocks, it's just grass. And to convince you even more, take a look at the trailer shot. They're not inserted in that shot. And if you look at the shot in the movie itself on the Blu-ray edition, they later inserted the dead Padawans of Luke Skywalker that were murdered by Kylo Ren, and some of them were taken away. Now, what's really cool about this, in this comparison, you can see from the trailer, from the movie, side by side, you can see that they later on added them in there. Now, what I like about this whole entire sequence is that on the Blu-ray you do get a nice close look at a ton of Luke Skywalker's dead students. This is something that I personally did not see in the final cut of the movie, and it especially was not in that shot in the trailer itself. So it's kind of interesting to know that they later decided to say, hey, let's add in his students and let's let the fans know that this is where they actually got killed, in front of the temple as opposed to inside of the temple. Now, I marked some of the bodies, as you can see here, with red dots, and you can tell exactly where some of them are. There may even be more of them all the way over in the background, but it's hard to tell. But there are tons of bodies all over. Now, we do know that Luke Skywalker told Rey that he took a dozen students, including Ben Solo, and that's exactly when he began training his new generation of Jedi, which ultimately Ben Solo killed off one by one. Now, what I really do love about this sequence is that it really does parallel that moment in Revenge of the Sith in which Obi-Wan and Yoda go back to the Jedi Temple and they essentially are surrounded by those bodies. And I think that what's so great about this is that when you're looking at The Last Jedi, they changed something. This is something that was not in the trailer, clearly, and they later added them in by CGI or whatever they did. It must have been CGI, because they could easily do that. Now, when you look real close, you can clearly see faces, legs, arms. These are indeed bodies. And what I love so much about The Last Jedi is that this moment in time, you do get a glimpse of Luke Skywalker. Also, that shot of Luke's face, where he is just completely in shock. This adds all the more value to that shot where you do see him resting his hand on R2-D2 and the camera zooms up all the way to Luke Skywalker's face. Seeing these dead bodies visually, it makes it all the more shocking for the character. So overall, guys, let me know what you think about this below in the comments section. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night.